The Mi'kmaq have never surrendered, ceded, or sold the Aboriginal title to any of our lands. We have a title claim to all lands in Nova Scotia. Since time immemorial, we have been the caretakers of the lands and resources. And when we began to share our lands with others, it only elevated why we needed to continue to be involved. One way to do this is through consultation. As keepers of the lands and resources, we expect that any potential impacts to rights and title shall be addressed. The Assembly of Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Chiefs saw the need for a consultation process to ensure that our rights were protected and that Mi'kmaq concerns were formally addressed. So the Assembly began to work on a Mi'kmaq process for consultation. Through the Made in Nova Scotia process, the Assembly met with Nova Scotia and Canada, and together they developed the terms of reference for a Mi'kmaq Nova Scotia Canada consultation process. We call it the TOR. The TOR clearly lays out the process for how the Crown will consult with the Mi'kmaq of Nova Scotia. At the same time as the TOR was being discussed, the Supreme Court of Canada handed down 3 landmark decisions, Haida, Taku, and Mi'kmaq Cree, where it was found that the Crown, both the federal and provincial governments, have a constitutional duty to consult in good faith with Aboriginal peoples when making a decision that could potentially impact Aboriginal treaty rights. These court cases certainly supported the discussions that the Assembly was already having. Since 2007, our office, Mi'kmaq Negotiation Office, or KMKNO, has supported the Assembly by coordinating their consultations with the Crown. Tell me about the TOR. The TOR is unique to Nova Scotia. It is the first of its kind for Aboriginal nations in Canada. It is an agreed-upon document that outlines the process for consultation. Under the rules of the TOR, when the federal or provincial government is planning to make a decision that could potentially impact Mi'kmaq rights and title, they are required to formally notify the Assembly. They do so by writing a letter to the chiefs and councils, and a copy of this letter is also sent to KMKNO. The communities can then decide to either take the lead on the file on behalf of the Assembly, they can proceed with consultation on their own, or they can have consultations run through our office with the lead chief overseeing the discussions. The Assembly wanted these options clearly laid out in the TOR. This was to protect a band's individuality and to also provide an opportunity for a community to decide how to proceed. Once KMKNO receives the letter, we begin to coordinate the consultation on behalf of the Assembly, unless a band indicates otherwise. Our consultation department has grown, and today we are coordinating over 300 projects for the Assembly. What is being discussed at consultation meetings? Consultation can occur during any stage of a project. It can happen as early as the planning stages and can continue straight through to on-site monitoring while a project is in operation. Discussions can focus on the protection of resources, our cultural concerns, archaeological concerns, how the Mi'kmaq use and occupy the lands and waters, our historical connections that we have to the area, to what is happening during construction or operation. The duty to consult exists to protect the collective rights of Aboriginal people. At consultation meetings with the Crown, KMKNO brings forward the viewpoint of the Assembly, their community concerns, the input provided by our advisory group, and our own team. It is not a veto process, nor is it a way to get approval from the Mi'kmaq. Consultation discussions are about addressing Mi'kmaq concerns before the Crown makes their final decision on a project. Without a formal process, we would not be able to ensure that the concerns of the Mi'kmaq are heard or addressed. This is why consultation is essential. With rights come responsibilities. We have a responsibility to respond, just as the Crown has a duty to consult. You have advisors? Yes, for many of our projects, advisory groups are created to provide input on what should be carefully examined, what must be addressed, and any next steps. These advisory groups can be made up of elders, researchers, scientists, hunters, fishers, conservationists, and in all cases, people who represent the best interest of the Mi'kmaq. The information that they collect, review, and evaluate is brought to the Assembly throughout this process for the input and guidance of our leadership. Oftentimes, the Assembly provides instruction by passing resolutions. The back and forth dialogue continues between the Assembly, KMKNO, the advisory group, and the government. It doesn't necessarily mean that in the end we'll always come to an agreement, but it does mean that we do have an opportunity to see and hopefully change where the province or federal government is headed. This dialogue largely relies on the honour of the Crown. If the Assembly is not satisfied with the accommodations made by the Crown, then the Mi'kmaq can still go to court for infringement of Aboriginal and treaty rights and title. By participating in consultation, we are not thereby giving up our rights claims. How can I learn more? KMKNO sends out newsletters, press releases, community notices, and puts articles in the Mi'kmaq Maliseet Nations News. We also have a website and share information on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. It is important for us that community members know what is happening and understand the work that is being done by all of our departments, including consultation. The key is to keep educating yourself. We want you to know what we are fighting for. The decisions that are being made by the Crown are important to you, your children, our children, and all of our families. Our ancestors have lived here since time immemorial, and it is our duty to see that the lands and resources can be enjoyed for many more years to come. It's time to make things right. For more information, visit www.mi'kmaqrights.com.